You have the first pay-per-view of the year coming up, UFC 324. First Paramount Plus, the main event. I feels like a little bit controversial. Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje.
What's controversial about it?
I think a lot of people feel like Arman.
It should have been Tsarukyan.
Yeah.
Tsarukyan's got to work his way back up there, man. Tsarukyan's had opportunity. He didn't take it.
I know. Obviously, he had the fight in L.A. or didn't have the fight in L.A.
I have to be able to count on somebody if somebody's going to fight for a world championship. Got to be able to count on them. It's like the whole John Jones thing right now, you know.
What does it look like when you say he's got to work his way back up? Like, what does that look like?
Well, you know, he just fought this last fight he won.
Yeah.
Almost headbutted him in the face and almost blew the fight by headbutting him in the face at the weigh-ins. We'll see.
With Arman Tsarukyan weighing in as the backup, is he getting back in the good graces with you and the...
Well, it's not about getting back in the good graces. It's about, you know, the guy had the opportunity to fight for a title and didn't make weight. It's just, I mean, you couldn't fuck up anything worse than that. But he proved, you know, now that he's not fighting for the title, and he was here as a backup fighter, he made weight, so it's definitely a step in the right direction.
One thing that is tricky about becoming a number one contender, one thing that is tricky about building steam towards a fight is when it's for a title, it's not against an opponent. The only thing in our sport that trumps main event is title, and the only thing that trumps title is personal grudge. The best way to get a fight is to have a personal grudge. Oh, and by the way, also be the number one contender. Ranked number one.
The path to a UFC title shot isn't just about rankings or a win streak anymore. It's a brutal chess match, and Arman Tsarukyan is learning this the hard way. What this segment highlights is a fundamental truth in combat sports. A personal grudge trumps everything. Arman's frustration, his drive to fight Dana White for that shot, isn't just empty clickbait, it's tapping into this exact principle. He's at the pinnacle, but without that narrative, that personal beef, he's just another contender in line. The question now becomes, how personal does Arman need to get to cut through the noise and grab what he's earned? It's about more than just fighting opponents, it's about fighting the system for what you believe is rightfully yours.
Arman can tell the story that I want to fight for the title. He can, and that'll get over. It's just a lot more effective if he can go right after Ilia Topuria. Now, the problem with going after Ilia Topuria is if Ilia doesn't win the title. That's the problem. Now, it can be fixed. I'm just sharing with you perfect world scenarios. Something is resisting Arman. I think that we knew what it was, right? I mean, we can roll the tape back to the missed match against Islam. Great, put him in a purgatory. He's number one contender. He's going to fight Dan Hooker. Does fight Dan Hooker. Oh, there was a headbutt.
This perfectly encapsulates Arman's current dilemma. He can tell his story, he should demand that title shot, but the effectiveness of that narrative is tied directly to who holds the belt. If Ilia Topuria isn't champion, the whole dynamic shifts, undermining his momentum. But more critically, the speaker touches on the something resisting Arman. We can't forget the history. The Islam Makhachev short-notice fight, the purgatory, the Dan Hooker headbutt controversy. It feels like the UFC, or at least fate, has thrown repeated hurdles in his path. This isn't just about Arman being a top contender. It's about a fighter who has consistently overcome adversity, only to find the biggest resistance comes from the system itself.
Who else are you going to put him with? And if you're not booking him right now, and he's currently not booked, and his name is Red Hot, then that would tell me, if I got to guess, if I'm a guessing man, that would tell me that the opponent that you would like for Arman is already booked himself. That you can't make the Arman fight because his potential opponent is already booked, which means we're going to take our oars out of the water. We're going to let some dust settle.
This is a profound insight into the mechanics of UFC matchmaking and directly explains why Arman isn't fighting right now. If a top contender like Tsarukyan, with all his buzz, isn't booked, it strongly suggests his ideal opponent is already locked into another bout. It's not that the UFC doesn't want him fighting. It's that they're playing a long game. They're waiting for the dust to settle from a key matchup, likely a title fight or a #1 contender eliminator, before making their move. This oars out of the water strategy is frustrating for fans and fighters alike, especially for someone like Arman, who is red hot and ready to seize his moment for that undisputed championship.
Then we're going to make the announcement. That could be the title fight. You want to know a fun fight? Now, he would need a win at the White House to get it, but you want to know a fun fight? Michael Chandler. I'd watch Chandler versus Tsarukyan any way you want to do it. You want to do it in RAF, you want to do it in UFC BJJ, you want to do it in the Octagon. You want to know another fight for Tsarukyan? Roofy. Now, Roofy's ranked, this is off the top of my head, but he's ranked like number 8. But that's where you got to go. That's where you have to go. If you wanted to bring Charles in, great. And it would be fresh, so that's fun. We could all get behind that, and so would Charles.
The contemplation of potential opponents like Chandler, Roofy, and Charles is interesting, but it also reveals the difficulty in finding a truly compelling matchup for Arman right now. Chandler, while a fun fight, often comes with asterisks, especially if he's still waiting for Conor McGregor. Roofy is lower in the rankings, which doesn't make sense for a #1 contender. Charles Oliveira, while a huge name, brings his own set of considerations. What this shows is that Arman has essentially cleared out the division below him, but the top tier is either tied up or the matchups aren't quite right in the UFC's eyes. It underscores his argument for a title shot. There's simply no one else left for him.
So, who are you going to put him with? I have a very difficult time making sense of anybody as the roster sits right now, aside from the winner of Gaethje versus Ilya. I have a very hard time, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. Not if you go back to my original hypothesis, which is the potential next opponent for Tsarukyan is currently booked. Because the landscape can change real fast when you do that, right? A guy can rise up overnight when you do that.
This highlights the extreme challenge the UFC faces in booking Arman Tsarukyan right now. Outside of the winner of a massive fight like Gaethje versus Topuria, there's a genuine lack of compelling, high-stakes opponents that make sense for a #1 contender. It reinforces the idea that the logical next step is a title shot. The hypothesis that his next potential opponent is already booked speaks volumes about the current landscape. This isn't just about finding a warm body. It's about finding a fight that elevates Arman and makes sense for the division. It shows how quickly the UFC can rise a fighter up, but also how complex it is to manage a crowded top tier.
And I don't know where Paddy's at on all this, by the way. Like, Paddy coming off a loss, does that mean he shouldn't fight the #1 ranked guy? A lot of times, yeah, that's exactly what it means. Paddy used to want to fight Arman, but Paddy's been very polite lately. A lot of guys, and I think Paddy falls in this category, coming off of a loss, just feel, and it's like just a personal code, but they do adhere to it. They just feel, I shouldn't call anyone out. I'm coming off a loss. I need to sit here like everybody else that's got to climb their way back up. I disagree with that.
Paddy Pimblett's name coming up in this discussion is a reminder of past potential matchups and current missed opportunities. Paddy's polite approach after a loss, a personal code of not calling anyone out, is admirable in a way but ultimately detrimental to his career momentum and the fans' desire for exciting fights. While it reflects a certain integrity, the speaker implies that in the cutthroat world of the UFC, that mentality can leave you behind. Arman needs opponents who are hungry, who want to fight upwards, and Paddy's current stance means one less viable option for a high-profile fight. This self-imposed silence only contributes to the logjam at the top of the lightweight division.
Charles does look pretty good. Charles in a BMF does look pretty good. But a BMF largely is restored for somebody whose title days are over, but they're still a legend in the sport that you all love. And that's where it would almost disqualify Tsarukyan. He is still on undisputed championship path.
The discussion around Charles Oliveira and the BMF title is critical here because it explains why Tsarukyan should absolutely not be considered for it. The BMF belt is for legends whose title days are essentially over, a recognition of their enduring status and willingness to engage in thrilling, high-risk fights. For Arman, who is clearly on an undisputed championship path, a BMF fight would be a step sideways, if not backwards. It would dilute his legitimate claim to gold and misalign with his career trajectory. His focus must remain singular, the undisputed lightweight championship. Anything less would be an insult to his hard-earned position and talent, fueling his desire to fight the establishment.
So my guess, who is Arman going to fight next? My guess, and it's a broad stroke, I think the oars are out of the water. I don't think they're going to book him. I think whoever Tsarukyan fights next is currently booked. And they're going to wait to see the result of that match.
Ultimately, the speaker's conclusion feels like the most realistic assessment of Arman Tsarukyan's immediate future. The oars are out of the water implies a period of strategic inactivity from the UFC's side. They are waiting for other pivotal fights to conclude, likely one that involves a top-tier opponent who is currently booked. This waiting game is agonizing for a fighter like Arman, who has proven his worth repeatedly. It reinforces the idea that his fight isn't just with other contenders, but with the timing and strategy of the organization itself. He's earned his shot, but he's still at the mercy of the broader UFC landscape, a situation that certainly fuels any fighter's frustration.